Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, friends. It's time for a little Legend of Vox Machina as we watch Season 3, Episode 3, Vexations. Been off to a hell of a good start, friends. I don't need to tell you that the ability to translate this campaign, this active improv campaign, into a coherent story is a testament to just how powerful a tale was told around the Critical Role table, my friends. But before we get started, if you could do me a huge favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. It greatly helps out a small channel, and it allows me to alert you next time we go live with The Legend of Vox Machina, or any of our sci-fi fare. And of course, if there's anything that we do that you would like early or in its full-length format, the link to our Patreon is in the description, my friends. But all that is then, and this is now. And now it's time to once again travel into the wonderful fantasy world of Matt Mercer's brain and that table's creative characters as we watch The Legend of Vox Machina, Season 3, Episode 3, Vexations. Prepare to engage maximum warp reaction. And away we go! Getting ready to go to hell, aren't we?
They cannot hurt you. I will not let them.
Keeping them warm.
If she cannot find them, I can.
No! You need a bloodhound for this, not a bulldog.
Ha.
Be grateful. I allow your treacherous lungs to draw breath.
Oh.
Baragal! Send word across the kingdoms. Anyone who delivers Vox Machina will get Raishan's share of our empire.
Wow.
Leave me to my family.
They're really fleshing out Thordak. I don't remember Thordak being quite so three-dimensional.
The corpses of our enemies shall be your cradles, and their eternal agony, your milk.
You have to credit Lance for that, too. Great voice acting. This song gives me chills. It's just so... It's weird. It's very comforting. It's very uplifting, even though, you know, the story is... No spoilers, but there's a lot of darkness in Vox Machina. That breaks my heart right there. Keyleth is such a character that you want to champion and erroneously you want to protect, you know, like you want to make sure that, you know, because she seemingly suffers so much. And the thing is, that's part of her growth, you know, as terrible as that is. It almost feels like the rest of them have gone through the ringer already. And she's the one that hasn't yet. And that's my guy right there. Vax. Do like me some Percy, too. I like everybody. I mean, come on.
Actually, it's supposed to mean good luck. Especially in romance.
Then I should have put a bird's nest in my bedroom years ago.
Oh, that's fucking weird.
An old ally of ours. Dola? No way. That bitch wanted me dead.
They guard a hidden rift to the hells.
This intricate.
Really?
And our companion was so pissed at me she moved there.
We sort of need this thing, guys. Think you can bury the battle axe long enough to get us into hell?
I don't remember this thing, but is this a Tiberius thing?
I assure you, we'll be fine. In fact, while you're gone, perhaps I'll cut down the sun tree and build an extravagant canoe.
Sounds lovely.
Yes, you figured it out.
We were just discussing,
Canoes.
You're smitten.
So what if I am?
I love when they reflect his glasses.
When one invites you to her room, you go.
Some of these RP moments are my very favorites in the middle of the night when they go to each other's rooms.
Oh, fuck it.
Fuck it. Oh, come on.
It's Percival.
I was hoping we could.
Of course. Would you like to talk before or after?
She knew you were on your way, Percy. That was one of my favorite moments. Laura Bailey actually RP'd that.
Just, sit, if
Sure,
that's
sit, yeah.
This could be trouble.
I don't think they care about that.
Our future is clouded with misery. I saw it.
The matron? Again?
It's not just her. You're Aramente when you complete it.
Aramente.
So, joy today isn't worth pain tomorrow?
I just can't bear the idea of putting you through that.
Yeah.
You won't risk anything for me.
That's not true.
If you're too afraid to let me in, then...
Yeah, I never understood it.
If you had seen what I have...
Just get out!
I understand, Vax. You have to seize the day, though.
Please!
Ah, Keyleth.
Good talk.
Good talk. Percy's speechless.
New song?
Something like that.
Oh, they're...
And hey, no matter how bad you messed up with Kaylee, I'm here.
Whoa!
Not like that.
Because you put your hand...
No,
Oh,
it's
fuck,
fine.
I don't know what's
really
wrong
is.
with me.
Oh, no, I was...
Yep. Scanlan's going through it. He is going through it. They're all going through it. Great shot. Her just looking out the window. Didn't say anything. I like that shot.
So
Draconia.
do Draconia.
Right, right.
Yes.
Well,
If you try anything while we're away, I swear.
You have 2 days, not a minute more.
yep, she's on a schedule. You're on a schedule. So,
So, your friend.
I wonder what they're going to do here.
Being in dangerous situations with someone you're close to can lead to friction.
She'll meet us up ahead. Buckle the fuck up.
Buckle the fuck up. This had a very, this trip to, if this is the same trip to Draconia that they did in the show, they've definitely reworked it. We'll talk about it in the thoughts section.
But it sounded important. And if the Despath Gateway can help, the Draconian people are more than willing to share it.
It's a bit of a trek. Try not to fall behind.
How far could it be?
Cut to.
Okay, it's far.
You okay?
Yeah. Now, they've definitely resequenced some stuff, I think. Unless they're cutting major things out.
The gateway cannot remain indefinitely. Remember, we'll reopen it in exactly 12 hours.
12? But I ain't got enough fingers.
They've got it, Grog. Badass. It's surprising that Percy and Vax aren't going. Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
This, the capital of hell.
This, a rock.
This is a city.
Yeah, and this is a rock.
Are those souls?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh my god.
Now, how the devil do we break in?
Another quality pun.
I gotta say, Dee, I was a little nervous after how we left things.
Yeah, she's not cool with you. Don't worry about it.
Kimmo, we're adults. There were crushes, but we had a job to do. It was always clear that you two were destined for each other.
You weren't, like, butthurt?
In all these years, I haven't given it a single thought.
Ouch. This tent pole that you had for their relationship doesn't exist.
Shouldn't we talk about what that was? What we are?
If you need a label, call it a tryst. Call it a mistake. Call it whatever you want.
This is Vax's deflection.
Unless you're too scared to say it.
That's it.
I am not scared. I'm...
Vex,
Dragons.
how did he know where we were?
The frigid doom. It's 'cause somebody sold you out for the share.
We're safe here.
Did she sell him out? The Draconian? The Dragonborn? Woo!
Can't hide forever.
They do a great job with the dragons in this to make them really formidable.
You all right down there?
We need to move. The western ridge has cover.
No, we're better off crossing to that peak.
In the wide open?
Rather in the open. But you're the local. Lead the way.
She sold them out, man.
Forgive me, but you have a history of leaving allies in the dust.
Here we go.
You two wound up on the Council of Taldore, living in a fancy ivory tower.
Wow, they're...
We assumed you were happy. I'm sorry.
We both are.
Of course you didn't know. You were lost in each other's eyes, blinded by...
Oh boy.
A distress beacon.
You sentenced us to death!
Not us, you.
Mm-hmm.
And after I turn you over, they've promised me the power you stole.
Traitor!
No.
Blinded by love again.
Let's go. They made her a sorcerer too?
How do we shut this thing off?
Coming back. Boy, they are in deep, deep, deep shit.
You first, so Kima can watch you die.
You bitch.
Perhaps we can table this discussion?
Yeah, there is no fight here. Let's hide.
That way! The ones you want are that way!
He's gonna kill you as soon as he... Woo!
I won't bite. I swallow my prey whole.
Lord almighty.
Can you form one of those shields beneath us?
Well, I'm not sure how that would... Oh!
Let's go. We're going sledding.
Nice steering, babe.
Damn it!
You can't run from this.
Woo! Oh, really cool. Her just standing on that low precipice. Oh! Boy, they're in a bad way here.
Come on, you overgrown idiot! You should have finished them by now! What are you waiting for? I want to see...
He's gonna kill you. Yep. Oh, tried to save her. Tried to save her, even after the betrayal. Oh. Oh, look at her stand.
Good. I'll go find your friend.
Vax stood him down. Oh my god, I love her.
I'm fine. Check on Vex. I'll look for a way out of here.
Am I saying Vax? Oh my god. Jesus, I've done it now. I always do it.
Percy, about earlier.
Yeah. It was all smoke and mirrors. Yep.
Everyone I've ever loved, it always ends badly. It's like I'm a bad omen.
Yeah, that's right.
Willing to take that chance.
Look, I care about you. Which is why we can't be more than just a fling. Is that all right?
I think that's okay with him.
As you like.
As you like.
Right now, our friends are trying to find a vestige in the worst place imaginable.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Because I know their hearts. You know Kima's heart too.
Her God can't hear her here. Not as well.
We have to believe it's going to be all right.
They're doing a good job with hell. It's terrifying.
Then nothing matters.
Oh, that was very fast. All right, everybody, we just got done watching The Legend of Vox Machina Season 3, Episode 3, Vexations, and the only thing left to do is talk about it. All right, everybody, we just got done watching episode 3 of the 3rd season of The Legend of Vox Machina entitled Vexations. I will say this at the top of this one. I am going to frequently get Vax and Vex mixed up. And I know that was like in a design of Laura and Liam when they came up with it, I'm Vax, she's Vex, and all that stuff. So I will constantly, my brain just doesn't do it. I usually say Vexalia just to make sure I don't get anything wrong. But if I go with the Vex or Vax, that's when we have big problems. But again, so this episode, okay, so I'm going to address the elephant in the room here. And spoilers, if you're ever planning to look back on the campaign, take this. I'll try not to be like, I'm not going to give away too much. I think it's no secret that when Critical Role started, that there was another member of Critical Role that was in the player. This player, Orion Akaba, played Tiberius Stormwind. I think it was his last name. He was a red dragon-born sorcerer. And when Critical Role started, I went back and I came in the Briarwood arc, which was basically right after Tiberius's exit from the show. And I went back and watched everything, and it was close enough to when this happened, weeks after, these couple episodes. And Tiberius was a very popular character. I hesitate to say just how popular if you're trying to rank the characters initially, but I would just say this, that just with like merch and not really merch, well, art, I think a lot of fan art at the time, there was a absolute metric ton of Tiberius fan art. And I'm not saying that dictates, popularity, but it doesn't hurt, when you've got a lot of things going on. And I'm not going to get into, there's plenty of videos on YouTube if you want to know, like, what happened. Why isn't Tiberius a part of Critical Role? It's a real shame. And, I'm not sure who's really in the wrong, or, I mean, it looks one way, but I'm certainly not going to cast judgment onto why this divorce happened between player and table. But, if you've played in a TTRPG and you've played in a campaign for a while, you know that people leave, regardless of reason. Hopefully it's just, hey, I can't make it, my schedule, blah, 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 but people leave the table. And this is what we've experienced here. This was not publicly, it doesn't seem to be a very amicable split between, it didn't at the time anyway. I don't know what it stands now, and I'm not going to get into any of that. But all we need to know is this character left, was part of the narrative, part of the story, and then kind of left at the very beginning, but it was still, he was ingrained in a lot of the story that was being told. I mean, as were all the characters, but I would hesitate and say that Tiberius probably more so, just because he had such an active role in the beginning of the campaign. He was kind of the front person, always doing things, whether it was, something that needed to be done or not was a different story. But, a lot of face time, a lot of screen time. And again, there's arguments to say that, oh, that's not great, or, that led to, I'm not getting into any of that. We had a person leave the table and that character disappeared. Now, because of the way that it ended, they obviously couldn't use Tiberius in The Legend of Vox Machina, which tells me sort of that the relationship is still not great. Again, who knows? I certainly do not. But that's the kind of the backstory from the table that creates this. So again, in my mind, it keeps telling me that the sequencing of what's going on here is different than what we've seen before. And I definitely remember there being the objectives too. And I don't want to, I'm trying very carefully not to ruin it if you want to go back, but I'll say this, the campaign delivers a much different experience, similar story beats, but a different experience if you go back and watch what they're doing here. It's amazing how much of the campaign is related into the show, how familiar it feels. But at the same time, this season particularly, they are resequencing some things. And I think that is the primary reason for that, is to make the ultimate, which we all know is coming, the Thordak confrontation, that more poignant. They're kind of pushing it down the road a little bit, which is exactly what they should be. Thordak's the big bad, and needs to be given that type of tension and respect and build and things like that. So, but they ended up with Dola, who is the character. It's very interesting that they decided to hit a few different story beats with Alora and Kima in there, that they felt betrayed. And I don't know. I mean, there's definite parallels to be taken from that character of Dola and to the character of Tiberius, and the way that all happened in real life as opposed to the fictional world of Exandria. So I think that was a very interesting decision by the creatives involved to both include the entire Draconia segment, because if you've watched the campaign, when you hear Draconia, or at least when I do, I mean, you all might be different in this, but when I hear Draconia, in respects to Critical Role, I immediately think of Tiberius because he's very proud of being from Draconia. And ultimately, when they revisit Draconia, they see Tiberius, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And it's a much different experience, much different. The character of Dola, if they appear in the campaign, I do not remember them being in Draconia. I don't remember them in this context. I think this is a character that was created for the TV show and also as a weird parallel. And again, and she was red too, which Tiberius was red, and I don't know. There's definite. I mean, there are not. I mean, you can make that Dragonborn any color, within reason, and they decided to go with red. And again, there's too many similarities for me not to make the comparison, which I'm can only imagine that they knew that people would make that comparison, and that's why they did it, which is, I don't know. And, again, it's certainly not something that I could answer, but, as the player that left, I wonder if I would see that as a kind of on an olive branch, like, hey, we remember and we know that we can't use your character or anything, but we just want you to know we remember. But if you were going to do that, you'd probably make the honorary or honorific character a little more honorable, I don't know. I'm just going to leave that all there because it seems strange. It seems like an odd decision to make if you weren't going for a specific emotional response from the people that know about the early campaign stuff. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that one. I'm not real sure how I take that. But as for the rest of the things that are going on, I'm really kind of glad that they introduced us to hell, introduced us to the plane of hell, and then kind of left and kind of took it on down the road so we could see what happened in Draconia, see that whole great sequence. It's really interesting to see how they portray the dragons in this because, well, in the campaign too, I don't want to, the dragons were very powerful in the campaign. However, I will say this, getting off into like a mechanical D&D 5e type of discussion just for a second. The dragons in 5e, at least when they played, the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, when they played and had the encounters with the Chroma Conclave, the dragons as written in 5e didn't pack the same type of punch that they did in 4th edition. And Matt Colville actually did a really, really great video about this. If I can find it, I'll link it down in the description. About like, but don't watch that video. I should say this, don't watch that video until we are like past the Chroma Conclave arc. You know what I mean? Because it'll definitely spoil some shit. What his suggestion was in that, the mechanics that I was speaking of, his suggestion was there were a lot of specialty mechanics in 4th edition that really, really made dragons tougher. One that I can think of, see, again, not to get too far off into the weeds about how, the actual like nuts and bolts of D&D, but, you would think that like with their breath weapon, whether it be like with the Frigid Doom Vorgal, like the ice, or with Thordak the fire, or the disease deceiver, she breathes out poison. We had acid and stuff like that. With the breath weapon, whenever it's fired, you have to roll a die again and get a specific number on that die, specific, like, higher numbers on that die to recharge that. So in theory, if you're the dungeon master, you could have this incredibly powerful dragon that uses their fire breath, and then you roll shitty for the rest of the conflict and they never get it back. you know? So they're sitting there just taking damage, and their most potent, powerful weapon they cannot use or deploy. So, you know, the really great video that Matt Colville does is he compares, like, if you added some different rules from 4E, which made dragons tougher, into 5E, they become way more formidable. Why do I say that? I say that because in the campaign, that limitation was sort of known. You know, that limitation for breath weapon was sort of known. And so it's not something that you exploit, obviously, but it's something that you can definitely use to your advantage. You know, that there is a higher probability that they won't have it than they will. Whereas with this, you know, you don't have that idea that they can't use their most powerful weapon. I mean, they are deploying that left and right, and it makes them more formidable. It makes the dragons absolutely terrifying to fly in and just wreck shit like the Frigid Doom just did. You know, it makes them what they're supposed to be. It's Dungeons and Dragons for a reason. Dragons are supposed to be the apex predators of the PC, the player character. They are, when you see a dragon and you see a silhouette against the sun of an approaching dragon that is not happy with your party, doesn't matter what alignment the dragon is, they're just coming for you. When you see that as a player character, regardless of what level your character is, the idea that that dragon is coming for you should be bowel liquefying. It should be terrifying. And that's dragons have sort of been watered down a little bit, especially when the campaign of Vox Machina was going through there. They had reached kind of like their lowest point. They have since been augmented. They have since been kind of like refreshed and kind of pushed back up to the upper echelon of enemies. So it's very interesting to see how, you know, they're kind of incorporating that, making them more terrible and terrifying. Really, really great stuff. And I'll end with this, that, you know, I could talk about Critical Role forever because it's just so delicious, and get a lot of things wrong because my Swiss cheese brain forgets. But like Vax and Vex. But with this one, you know, watching the relationships build, they're doing such a good job of really keeping us in the moment with all of the potential couples. And, you know, obviously with Vexalia and Percy, that one seems to be the strongest. It's like, it's the one that's advanced the most. It's the one that seems like it's got legs, you know? And to me, even as I was viewing the campaign, the one between Keyleth and Vaxeldon, always seemed to be the one that was just it's the hardest one to get started. You know, it was like a car that the engine was cold, it just wouldn't crank, you know. And they tried, and it's just they always ran into these obstacles, whether it be some very poignant moment, something that, you know, that legitimately distracts the characters. And I think that Liam O'Brien just did such and continues in this, but even in the moment, does such an amazing job with Vax, because he's able to portray this, you know, I know that everything ends badly, you know, I'm seeing these visions, and it's like, how can you be happy with this Cassandra type power, you know, where, and he does such a good job of really struggling with that as the character. It's a beautiful thing to see, because it would be so easy to be like, oh, Keyleth, I love you, kiss, 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 and everything's fine, you know. But they played it so well, and Marisha Ray did the same thing. She played right off of that, and it was just so well done. And like the insecurity of Keyleth is so prominent, you know, that she's trying so hard, but it's like she's making no headway, and that's very similar to what happened in the campaign. But anyway, my friends, you know, we could talk on and on about the Critical Role, and I would gladly do so, but I need to cut this down and make sure that, you know, it's not 35 minutes long, which it's already gone too long. If you could do me a favor, though, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and you'll be alerted next time we go live with The Legend of Vox Machina or any of our sci-fi fare. And of course, if there's anything that we do that you would like early or in its full-length format, the link to the Patreon is in the description, my friends. But that is then and this is now. And now it's time to say goodbye. And I actually thought about this one and figured out our goodbye spot during the episode. And so, as we often do here, whenever we watch an episode, we, the audience, are always a part of the story. And so we get to insert ourselves to say goodbye to this particular episode. So where do we say goodbye from? Well, friends, I say we say goodbye to a balcony at dawn in Whitestone, where a troubled gnome is gently playing a new tune along the morning breeze. But even though the world around is beautiful and uplifting, there is something very dark and very depressed about the spirit of one Scanlan. And so what we do is when we say goodbye, we hear that song, and though he does not hear it, we applaud because it is a song sung with notes of sadness, but maybe just one of those notes is a note of hope. Until I hope to see you all again, friends, Vulcan roll, and I'll see you.